Nate here with Student Media. Whether this is your first semester or your final lap around the track, we hope you are geared up for another year of learning. Being students ourselves, we know there are some questions about what comes after this. Out in the real world, answers aren't exactly found in textbooks, and progress reports mean a whole different thing. So we decided to ask some questions for you. Today, I speak with Steven Silver, character designer for series such as Danny Phantom, Kim Possible, Hysteria, and many others. He's got some advice for you future animators, such as what to put in your portfolios, how to start networking, and what to focus on in the expanding world of animation. When students are creating, what kind of things should they put in their portfolio?
But you just know exactly what it is that you want in your portfolio, what you want to do. Do you want to be a character designer, prop designer, background designer, storyboard artist? And then the most important thing is versatility. You want to show a range so that you almost got to look at it like you might have, you can't just have like apples and oranges and pears in your portfolio, because all of a sudden they go, oh, he can do that, but he can't draw strawberries. So you want to make sure you're kind of really showing that range, and the more versatile you are, the more opportunities you'll get.
Being adaptable is important in this
Absolutely,
industry.
yeah, absolutely.
Where should students be taking these portfolios? Like where do opportunities lie?
Really just meeting professionals. So there's a convention every weekend somewhere, and it's really going, so if you have the opportunity just to show it to people. Otherwise, there's a lot of different websites out there now that it's not that you're going to physically drop off your portfolio anywhere. It's all online most of the time. So it's making sure you have your portfolio online, and that way you can, when you go to these different job sites and they say, hey, we're looking for someone, then even like Disney, Nickelodeon, they all have their listings that they'll post, and that's what you want to do.
What kind of ratio or percentage of time would you say goes into honing your skill versus or with branding? And is there any luck involved with that?
Yeah, I mean, I think honing your skill, you're just doing it. It's a constant. This is something that's just like never going to end. And I think even when you are branding and you're working and you're figuring things out, you're still almost just honing your skill. You're trying to work on it and develop it, because every new project's gonna create a new challenge, you know, because it's always going to be the first time you're drawing something for the first time, every single time, whether it's a new style or a new sort of character, whether all of a sudden you have to draw an elephant or some sort of monkey, some sort of species of monkey that you've never drawn before. It's always going to be that new challenge, so you're learning in that. So it's really, I'd say it's a real balance. You're not going to start branding too early. You know, you want to give yourself, make sure that you got the skill level first, and then you know what you want to say, you know what you want to do, and then you're moving into the branding.
You mentioned a bunch of the studios actually don't offer critique. Where
Sure.
should students get a professional critique?
Yeah, it's really, you got to go to the conventions, you got to go to the shows, and if you follow artists, you'll find out that if you like a particular artist, usually they're going to post on their Instagram or Facebook or website where they're going to be. Hey, I'm going to this show, I'm going to that show. So it's keeping an eye out for that, and it's making the effort to show up.
Alrighty. So you've also been in the industry for, I think you said somewhere around 17, almost 20 years or so?
Yeah, over a little over 20 years.
A little over 20 years, okay.
Yeah.
So were you there for the switch from cell animation to like CGI, or did you see?
Sure, yeah, no, I was there, yeah, just doing, but all the animation at that time was still being done overseas.
I mean, things are going digital, things are being going overseas. I mean, should students be focusing on a certain aspect of their work? Should they focus on digital or 2D or 3D? Should they?
You know, it's really focusing on it all. It's like trying it all. No, do you want to do 3D? Then start learning 3D. But absolutely, it's a digital world out there now. You're never going to replace, I don't think you're ever going to replace the pen and paper and the pad. You should always be drawing and sketching to hone your skill, but just start to get savvy with the programs. Unfortunately, the programs are changing so much. You could start 1 year, you know, junior or freshman year learning one program, and by senior year it's outdated already. And then you got to learn it all over again. So I think it's just being updated on the trends, and maybe it's even calling up a studio that you're aware of, and maybe even more of a local studio even here in Texas, and saying, what programs are you guys using? I'm a student, I'm looking to learn the programs, what are you guys using? And I'm sure someone's going to tell you, oh yeah, we're using this and this and this, and it just takes the effort.
What should students expect from studio work? I know you kind of push and pulled on working in studio.
Yeah, just expect to work on lots of things that you don't want to work on. You know, it's not always going to be the fun project. You're going to be working on a lot of designs, working on a lot of animation, whatever it is you're doing, you're going to be working on things that aren't maybe what you want to do, and and you got to work fast. You know, and you got to be on time, and so you don't have the luxury of like you have in a classroom to spend, hey guys, we're going to design a character and we're going to spend the next week designing this one character. You got to design 5 characters in one day. You know, you might have to design 5 characters and then do a few turnarounds. So it's a lot more pressure, there's a lot more work. So the thing is, you got to build up your speed, and you got to build up your tolerance for that, and also expect to get, you know, rejected, like things like turned back and thrown back at you. No, it's not working. Do it again, do it again, do it again. And you got to be open to that. So it's really building a thick skin. It's not these industries, from anywhere from music to theater to art, it's not for the faint of heart. It's not for the weak individual. You know, you got to have a tough skin. You got to have a rhino skin. Project dislikes. I really. You know, I think the biggest thing is often for me, like I mentioned, my dislikes are when I had to do big giant crowd scenes on these productions, because I knew how quick it was going to be on scene, and I knew how long it was going to take me to do. So sometimes I spend 2-3 days working out, trying to figure it out, and it was on the screen for a second, and that was just like disheartening. You know, so that was always frustrating.
So you have a dislike. What's your favorite? What was your favorite project?
Well, I think my favorite's always just working on cool villains. Whenever I'm working on a show, and it just sounds like a fun character, you know. And I love doing caricature. So anything that involves just doing fun characters that have a little meat on them, so to speak. There's a lot more push, a lot more exaggerated, as opposed just to doing maybe more of a generic type of look, or okay, we got to draw a young kid. You know, you're not going to push that too far. There's only so much you can do to make it still look like a kid.
What's a realistic goal for students? Where should they set their goals right out of school?
It's not going to be easy. You know, it is just a lot of, you got to do a lot of digging and a lot of searching, and this is why I feel it's so important to attend just local conventions and do these things, because this way you get to, it's like an artist market, you get to meet these artists, and I would start looking at that, but also looking at other areas. Maybe you want to do some illustration, spot illustration for magazines, or books. There's actually a book called The Artist Market, which is a book that has a listing of all the art directors on all these publications all over the world. There's a website called awn.org, Animation World Network, and they list jobs and stuff like that. And it's just, again, it's the effort. It's knocking down one door after the other. There's going to be a lot of rejection, and you got to be prepared for it, and just know that, listen, it's not going to just happen. Sometimes it might happen the first one out of the seat, you know, but the reality is, for a lot of people it won't. And I think students, they give up too easily, is my opinion. They just kind of stop they're not used to rejection, you know, too much. So it hurts when they're not getting that validation. But it's like keep plugging away, and it's also rechecking, making sure, do you really have the skill set? You know, even though you've come out of school, have you put in the time? And did you put in the effort? Do you have the skill set? And you got to be honest with yourself, because I think a lot of times that's the hardest thing to sometimes swallow, and just realize that, you know what, maybe I'm just not good enough and cut out for this yet. Maybe it's going to take another 2 to 5 years for me to get there.